If you find yourself walking your dog more and more, but their behavior just isn't improving, then buckle up because this video is for you. But before we get into the good stuff, let me quickly introduce myself. I'm Junior, behavior nerd and founder of Paws of Wisdom, where I help overwhelmed owners make sense of their chaotic and over-the-top dogs. And today I want to talk about how walking your dog more doesn't equal better behavior. In fact, for some, it can actually make things worse. A big issue that we're led to believe is that we have to walk our dogs every single day. That more walks or longer walks automatically helps lead to better behavior. We're told it helps them get their energy out, it helps them settle better when they're at home, and helps reduce daily chaos. But what often isn't explained is that for some dogs, this can actually make things a little bit worse. In fact, for some dogs, the hidden reason walks actually make behavior worse is simply because they just don't benefit from them. And before you crucify me in the comments, hear me out because here are 3 reasons for this. The biggest reason walks don't benefit dogs is because they're stuck in cycles of chaos, conflict, and dysregulation as soon as they step outside. Maybe even before that as well. These are the dogs that are constantly scanning the environment, anticipating for chaos, pulling on the leash, reacting to every small thing, living in states of stress, frustration, arousal. And when that unholy trinity takes charge on the walk, dogs can't reap the benefits of the actual walk at all. Instead of a relatively calm and enjoyable walk where our dogs can relax, decompress, enjoy the environment, enjoy the actual walk, it becomes this chaotic battle. They're pulling on the leash, they're reacting to every single thing. They're throwing tantrums when they're not allowed to go and say hi or interact with other dogs or other people. They spend a lot of time not actually listening to what you're actually saying. Does that sound familiar at all? One of the biggest things that we're told is we need to let our dogs sniff more on their walk, but a lot of dogs are so stressed out, they're so frustrated, they're so over-aroused that they don't even have the capacity to sniff. Or if they do, it's this frantic sniffing where they're trying to figure out how close a trigger is. The second issue is that walks are, for a lot of dogs, are the only form of exercise that they actually get in the day, for some during the whole week. And if your dog is stuck in these states of chaos and dysregulation in every single walk as soon as they leave the house, and if that means that they're not actually reaping the benefits from the walks, then realistically speaking, they don't actually have a healthy outlet, a healthy form of exercise throughout the day at all. They're just, instead of releasing energy, they are stacking up on chaos. And what's even worse, because they didn't release any energy and they just built up on chaos throughout that walk, is when they get home, they're more wound up. They have more frustration and tension in their system. And that is one of the points where dogs start to find ways to keep themselves entertained. That's where we see a lot of unwanted behaviors, pacing back and forth, chewing up furniture, digging up the garden. All of these unwanted behaviors are a coping mechanism for dogs to release that pent-up energy, that pent-up frustration, that pent-up tension that they're just not getting rid of on their walks. And then finally, what's even worse is that the most logical thing a lot of owners think to do, and I was in the same boat as this, is we just have to keep walking them even further for longer distances, for longer periods of time. We think that is what's going to help. Yet, for a lot of dogs, no matter how far we walk them or how long we walk them, it just doesn't seem to scratch the surface at all. Instead, it just allows more stress and tension to build up during that walk. Now, I've touched on this previously, but the final reason, the third reason why some dogs just don't benefit from walks is that walks become a place where they can rehearse the unwanted behaviors that we are trying to get rid of. Things like pulling on the leash, reactivity, ignoring cues, ignoring what we're actually asking of them at times, not engaging with us when needed, constantly making poor decisions. The more they rehearse those behaviors, the harder those behaviors actually are to change. But it's not just on walks. A lot of those behaviors start to leak out inside the house as well. You start getting dogs who continuously bark outside. You start getting dogs that start ignoring what you're actually asking of them indoors. You start getting dogs that make poor decisions or act impulsively indoors as well. The more and more they rehearse these unwanted behaviors, the more and more chaos starts becoming their new norm. So instead of walks actually being this activity that helps our dogs, helps them regulate, helps them burn energy, helps them actually decompress, they end up being these activities that allow our dogs to stay stuck in cycles of stress, chaos, conflict, dysregulation, day in, day out, repeatedly. Then we end up with these dogs that just aren't getting proper exercise at all. And these dogs then find their own ways to release that energy in ways that we don't want at all. And that's exactly why more walks don't equal better behavior, because they reinforce the exact state that we're trying to change with our dogs. If it feels like what I've just described is something that you've been struggling with, then drop a little hands up emoji down in the comments just so other owners who watch this just know that they're not alone. But secondly, keep watching, because I'm going to give you 3 things that you can do to break yourself and your dog out of this cycle. Firstly, you can reduce or remove chaos from your dog's walk. This might seem like a no-brainer, but a lot of owners consistently keep walking the same routes, going through the same chaos, letting their dogs rehearse the same chaotic behaviors day in, day out, instead of taking their foot off the pedal for a second and letting the volume lower down. This might mean you walk your dog at off-peak times, like if you live near a school, instead of walking your dog when people are on the way to school, you can walk a bit earlier, or you wait until the school crowd has disappeared. If you have to walk through a city centre, then instead of going at peak times when everyone's doing their shopping, everyone's on their lunch break, you walk at the more off-peak times when there's hardly anyone out there. This could mean walking in quieter areas. So instead of walking through city centres, if you have quieter areas around you, spend some time walking in those quieter areas. Spend some time allowing your dog to actually enjoy their walk. This could also mean you stop allowing your dog to interact with every single person and every other dog on a walk. I know for a lot of people, it's quite tough to tell people no, but for a lot of dogs who go on walks and are anticipating people saying hi to them or other dogs saying hi to them or throwing temper tantrums when they're not allowed to interact, this can create a massive spike in frustration and arousal levels and stress levels in the unholy trinity. For some dogs, reducing the chaos on walks isn't going to be enough. We have to completely remove the chaos from these from these walks. And it's near enough impossible to remove chaos and unpredictability from environments outside of the home. So what I suggest is, if your dog is really stuck in a state of chaos and dysregulation, is we remove the walks altogether, but only momentarily, depending on how bad the dog is. This is exactly what I teach in my detox protocol, where we focus on resetting our dog's baseline, reducing daily chaos, and rebuilding regulation and routine. We take them out of those stressful environments where they're constantly rehearsing unwanted behaviors and constantly in these states of chaos. And we bring them into a sterile environment, one that has no triggers, one that is less stressful, one that is less chaotic. And we work on resetting their baseline for when we actually take them back outside. You'll be surprised at how effective it actually is when you remove your dog from these environments and situations that add a lot of pressure and chaos into their system, where they constantly rehearse unwanted behaviors and they keep going through the same conflict, where the unholy trinity just runs the show. Sometimes dogs just really need a detox period, and that's absolutely fine. Now, I know what a lot of people might be thinking. Okay, so what do I do instead of walk my dog then? And the answer is simple. We meet their needs in other ways. Walking your dog is not the only form of exercise. It's just the most common thing to do. If your dog really is in a state of dysregulation and walks are constantly chaos when you go outside, you've got to stop thinking of them as a form of exercise. You have to find another way to provide that daily exercise. This is why one of the things that I always recommend to people is that they have an outlet in their daily routine. Outlets are incredibly effective at releasing energy, tension, frustration, giving a sense of fulfillment, purpose, and it releases energy in just ways that walks just can't. This doesn't mean you have to swap out every single walk in your routine with an outlet. There are a few different things you can do. You can focus on an outlet through the majority of the week and focus on walks on the weekend when you have more time to walk, when you can put more effort into these walks. You might even throw an outlet in before you go on an actual walk. By providing your dog an actual outlet for their energy, for their frustration, for that chaos before a walk, you will notice a significant change to their behavior on the actual walk. If you provide an outlet for your dog before their actual walk, chances are you don't have to walk them as far as you always do. Adding an actual outlet into your dog's daily routine allows them to have a form of exercise where they can release that unwanted energy. And if they can release that unwanted energy that keeps building up inside them, that they keep releasing in ways that we don't want them to release them in, it just makes life so much easier. And this brings us on to the third and final point, which is we prioritize decompression and rest. Because when dogs are stuck in those states of chaos and dysregulation, a big issue a lot of them have in common is they don't decompress and they don't really rest throughout the day. Some of you might understand how important rest is for dogs. Not only just rest, but restorative rest. This is that deep sleep, 16 to 18 hours, helps the system reset, regulate, and relieves the stress out of the body kind of rest. A lot of dogs actually don't get this at all. They take these little power naps where the slightest noise or movement disturbs them out of their sleep. Without that restorative rest, the chaos builds silently in the system, even When your dog ends the day and goes to sleep, that stress, that chaos is still at a relatively high point when they wake up if they are not getting that restorative rest. This is why decompression is such a major factor. By prioritizing decompression, we can bring that system down to a level where our dogs are able to actually shut off and sleep. And if we can create a routine that provides exercise, that provides adequate mental stimulation, that provides restorative rest and decompression, if we can provide all of those, over time, our dog's system will be able to, it slowly starts to balance and level itself out. So there you have it. If you feel like walks haven't been serving you and your dog the way that they should be for some time now, don't be afraid to switch things up, or don't even be afraid to take a break. Like I mentioned earlier, you'll be surprised at how much change you can make when you stop taking a break from these walks. When you stop allowing the same rehearsal of those unwanted and chaotic behaviors in these environments and situations that are just nothing but chaos. And when you actually start to meet your dog's needs in ways that actually take their energy out and give their system a chance to just reset, everything just becomes a lot easier for both you and your dog. If you do want more support in lowering stress, regulating your dog's system, and pulling you both out of chaos, then check out the Paws of Wisdom Regulators community. I'll put the link somewhere in the description below. It's a free community for burned out and overwhelmed owners dealing with over-the-top and chaotic dogs, focused on educating on the power of regulation, understanding stress, meeting your dog's needs, creating routines and better habits, and laying the foundations that you can actually build upon. Inside there, you'll find the Regulators Resource Vault, which has a bunch of free resources on regulation, obviously, stress, meeting your dog's needs, sleep, reactivity, and more. Plus, you'll find a deep dive library, you'll find my video vault, and there's also a community just of other owners who are going through similar challenges with their dogs. You'll also find the official Paws of Wisdom Detox protocol, which is my system that teaches you exactly how to reset your dog's baseline, rebuild regulation and routine and better habits, and reduce that daily chaos that you might be dealing with. Finally, thanks for watching. If this helped you understand your dog even just a little bit, then make sure you hit a like down below just so other owners can find this who are struggling with similar issues. And let me know down in the comments, what else are you struggling with? What else would you like me to cover next? And that's it from me. Until next time, friend. I'll see you in the next one.